I'm all set up here. I think I got everything going on. Let's see who's rolling in. Where is all our lovely people at today? The first one in is Boogie Eater. What an name. Tally, how you doing? What is up? Right on. Egan from Florida is in. Notorious Adapter. Hello. Guys, I'm getting really excited about all of this. I've gotten, it's funny. I got more comments on my videos on YouTube yesterday. It makes me feel that people are actually caring what I have to say and that we're actually learning cool stuff and doing fun things. Yes, Jennifer has shown up. She's back in action. All right. So where is Charlie? Where's Jaron? There's Christina, all the way from Milan, Italy. This is great. There's Jaron. Jaron, how you doing? What's going on in Missouri? Hell yeah. This is great. Oh, and thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer said that she loves yesterday, the episode. And I want to say, guys, I want to thank you guys. And thank you, Notorious Adapter, saying that you love my energy. Well, I try. I'm doing my best here. We're trying to have some fun with what's going on in the world and how it relates to self-development and psychology and philosophy, all the good stuff that makes life interesting. I started this series because I thought there was a lot of crazy stuff going on that we needed to talk about. However, there's this thing called cancel culture where I can't talk about certain things and talk about other things. So I had to find a unique way in order to talk about the psychology that was going on behind the scenes that was pitting us against each other. And you should always be aware of when there are forces telling you that's the bad guy. Because anytime that somebody points out the bad guy to you, know that the person is pointing that out, probably the bad guy. And we need skills to disseminate that sort of stuff because in the world we're living in now, we're flooded with information, and it's very important. So anyway, I wanted a way of discussing what was going on that wasn't divisive and that was fun, that we could all learn. And I was concerned about it, considering the temperature of society right now and the internet. But I had a lot of fun, and I thank you for all the letters because it's like it makes me feel that you guys really enjoyed it and we had some fun, and I appreciate that. And no, if you watch this show and you have comments or you want to write me, I read everything, guys. And so, and I appreciate every message. And as you know, I talk to a lot of you outside of this and I enjoy it. And so let's continue. Jen says, let's cancel all media. Yeah. How about that? We would have a lot less problems if we could just do away with I feel is the number one culprit. Another culprit is influence culture. You know why? Because when social media came out, we all decided that the best thing to do was to get as many followers as possible. And now we're seeing that all these influencers who spent time in building an audience is now jailed and frozen and victim of their own followers. So there you go. Jennifer says, I've influenced her. Well, thank you very much. I'm trying to be one of the good guys here. I will never point out the bad guy unless it's the media, because they are the bad guy. All right. Jennifer says, let's also cancel The Bachelor. There's probably a bunch of women who are watching this show who's like, no way, we will never cancel The Bachelor. All right, guys. So let's get to it. I have a lot of things to talk about. Oh, and I just realized that I'm running out of batteries. Hold on. All right. Sorry about that. That was quite dumb. All right. So let's end our week of marketing. And I want to talk about the last component to marketing. Now, Tally says we need to put John on The Bachelor. Oh, my Lord. If that was the case, I will tell you this, Tally. I would do my best to just be a bigger train wreck than any of the girls could be on that show. I would be hammered the whole time. That would make for great television, wouldn't you say? All right. So to finish out our marketing week and how it applies to our psychology and the messages that are being divisive and the emotional pools that we had felt going one way or another. The last part that I wanted to talk about was commitment, or as they call it in marketing, a call to action. Quite convenient term, right? Call to action. There was a lot of calls to action over the last couple weeks. And one of the things that is interesting about this is how the call to action switches thoughts to beliefs to actions. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, we talk about how thoughts are different from beliefs. Thoughts are just that. They are thoughts. We don't have to act on them. We should do our due diligence and work on ourselves to emotionally detach from thoughts so we can look at them from a objective point of view and learn about our thoughts, learn about our thought process, and learn how easily tied we are to them so that we don't make irrational emotional decisions. Now, the fact that we're human beings means that there are always going to be an emotional component to our decision making. However, you don't have to be led around by the nose with your emotions. You can put in the work to gain a perspective, learn logic, statistics, and detach, not completely, but at least enough to be able to think through decisions rather than acting in a manner that you wouldn't be happy with later. This is why, even for myself, when things get kind of weird and I get emotionally tied up and I get frustrated and I can feel myself in an emotional tizzy, I tend to just stop everything that I'm doing and I go for a walk, maybe a run. I'll pick up a book and whatever I'm working on in that moment, I will put it aside so that I can make a better decision. It may still not be the right decision. I make plenty of wrong decisions, but at least it won't be a decision that I have made emotionally. Now, how does this tie in to the marketing aspect of this? Well, I want you guys to all know that you have a switch in your brain that turns thoughts into beliefs. And once that process is complete, your brain then perceives thoughts and beliefs differently. So once a thought changes to a belief, your brain now looks for information to back up the belief. It's called confirmation bias. You are now looking for information that backs up whatever belief has now been created. When you have thoughts, you may be emotionally moved by these thoughts, but you're able to look at them, detach from them, gather evidence and data that may be contradictory. This is why skepticism is a good skill to build. It allows you to look at thoughts separately. So beliefs, once you flip the switch and a thought turns to a belief, how you look at it and how you react to it changes because you act out what you believe. So what does this have to do with marketing? Well, we were talking all week about the imagery and the optics that you will see, how they stir up your emotions, and how the sales page, the text, is information that backs up the emotional pull that you had from the optics. Now, here's what's interesting about this. At the end of that sales page, there is what is called a call to action. Now, that call to action may be a purchase, it may be a group that you may join, or a candidate that you might donate to. Each one of those calls to action has you committing to now what the thought was into a belief. It's the transition from how your brain reacts to an idea. Yes, people get so offended when others disagree with them. They take it as a personal attack. Absolutely. Why? Because once you have a thought that turns into a belief, any contradictory beliefs can be considered an attack on a worldview, on a belief. Now, what does this have to do with the marketing we were talking about this week? Well, I want you to understand that once you click the call to action, you've moved from an idea to a belief. Why? Because you've acted on it. You see, that's all it takes for psychology, for the human brain to switch over by priming you through the text, by putting up an idea, presenting information that backs up the idea. Your brain mulls it over. Oh, okay. I never thought about that. Oh, here's some statistics to back that up. Huh, interesting. And then the call to action is, if you want to be good in the world and you want everything to be beautiful and clean and right for everybody, click this button. And then, of course, you're like, well, yeah, I like all of those things. Click on the button. You know, the other side has the same thing, right? So when it comes to politics, both have their optics, their priming of text that and testimonials and anecdotes that back up this idea, and then the call to action. Now, we talked about how you might be emotionally pulled to one side or the other side this week. Now, with a lifestyle choice, then the information is going to back up how great this is going to allow you to feel. The minute you click purchase, you've decided that product is going to help you feel a certain way about yourself that it promises. And once you click yes, it's not about the product anymore. It is about you rationalizing the logic of why that product did the things it said it was going to do. So let's just say that I see this advertisement for Polar seltzer water, right? And it says that I'm going to feel good and it's going to allow me to feel refreshed and all these other things. Once I make the purchase, I've already decided it's going to do the things that it said it's going to do. This is advertising. This is marketing. And that's how it works. And why did I want to bring that up today? Because every time that you've clicked on a call to action and you've done what it had asked you to do, you're reaffirming your belief structure. And the more you click yes or you agree on it, the more it's going to be that much more difficult for you to change your mind. Can you change your belief once you have gotten there and once you've been presented with outside evidence or data that is contradictory to the belief that you have accepted or committed to? Yes, absolutely. However, you have to be open to the idea that you could be wrong. This is much more difficult. Thoughts are much easier to look at and be skeptical over. Once you've clicked a call to action and you've committed to an idea, then the skepticism goes away and you look for information that confirms the belief. The more information that confirms the belief, the stronger that belief becomes. So much so that you'll go down fighting for it. You understand how that works? So every time I click yes, 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 I'm confirming that belief, and that belief becomes more and more solidified in my mind. And now I'm going to fight tooth and nail for my belief. Why? Because if I have been proven wrong, then I have to be open to the idea that I'm wrong about other things. And if I'm wrong about other things, then I'm walking a slippery slope to Maslow's hierarchy of needs of feeling unsafe. And that's an unsettling feeling. And we do not, as human beings, like to put ourselves in that position. In fact, we will go out of our way to keep ourselves from feeling that way. So Jennifer says it's so hard to resist. Study with POWs in Vietnam that has to write propaganda eventually. Yes, absolutely. Is it Patty Hearst? Patty Hearst? Sorry, Patty Duke syndrome, I believe. Or is it Patty Hearst syndrome? Patty Hearst syndrome. Patty Duke was a television show in the 60s and early 70s, I believe. I have that mixed up. Patty Hearst was somebody who slowly started to have empathy for her kidnappers. Or no, you know what? That might be Stockholm syndrome. I'm totally confused right now. I hadn't put all this together. Jennifer, you've got me slightly askewed. All right. So now that commitment is incredibly important. That call to action. Charlie is showing up, everybody. Give him a welcome. So that call to action is very important to your belief. Once you've clicked purchase, once you've clicked join, once you've clicked donate, you have put together and entered from a thought into a belief. And now that's where things are held up. And so I want you to understand that, because now you're going to have strong emotional pulls one way or another based on beliefs that you have. You can go back and look at those beliefs and see if the evidence is supporting how you feel, but that will certainly help you. Now, how do you avoid all that? Healthy skepticism and doing due diligence. So one last thing I wanted to talk about. Daniel Dennis said, I saw you laugh. You saw me laugh about what? What? Do you have a Karen haircut on purpose? That wouldn't be the first time. We've already went over the Karen haircut. Now, lastly, I wanted to talk about the experiment that is going on in Seattle right now, which is the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. Am I allowed to talk about current events this week? Can we get back to all that? No one's going to yell at me. So this idea, and this is great. This goes back to the idea of beliefs versus thoughts. And the protesters, for all of you and for all of you guys out in Europe, the Seattle protesters, some Antifa members, some Black Lives Matter members, a whole slew of protesters from all their different factions have put together an autonomous zone in Seattle and they're basically it's their squatting protest now. So they're just taking it over. They've ran the precinct and city hall and they're holding it up until their demands are met. And they're basically running it as their own little protesting squatter town. Now, I love this idea, and I think this is great. Why? Because there is an educational value that you cannot get from just pontificating philosophy in a classroom. You see, philosophy pontificated in a classroom is what they call armchair philosophy. The practicality of it is guys bullshitting about stuff at a water cooler. There's ideas galore. And these ideas are only as good as their utility when they're played out in the real world. That's what makes philosophy amazing. And we now have this experiment going on in Seattle where there is a root philosophy to how they want their squatted community to thrive while they wait for their demands. We can make a hypothesis and guess at what that philosophy is. And it's pretty well documented what that philosophy is. It's communal in nature, and things are free, and they're trying to work together. I think it's very much in the, and please, I could be wrong about this, but in the vein of what is in the vein of Burning Man, right? Everything's free, it's communal, everyone shares things, and it's in practicality, in theory, it's a lovely idea, fantastic, and it works really well, and at Burning Man, doesn't it? At least from what I hear. I'm not interested in hanging out in the desert for 2 weeks. Now, outside of that, this philosophy, outside of a gigantic overtaken corporate event that has money poured into it to advertise to everybody in Burning Man, we now Tally says at least Burning Man picks up some trash. Well, yeah, they've paid for a company to do that. Now they have implemented these rules in Seattle. It's a philosophy in which they were going to exist while their demands are going to be met. This is great. This is amazing. Let the experiment play itself out. Philosophy is only as good as its real world application. So here is an opportunity for these young, brilliant college students to implement their idea and philosophy into their new autonomous community in Seattle. Guys, why do we even have television? In the last 3 months, we have experienced some of the best drama and storylines, the freshest storylines, drama, and thrilling adventure than we have seen in Netflix or in a movie or on television in what, decades? Are you kidding me? This is utterly amazing. So the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, hashtag Chaz, is up and running. Let's live stream this television show. You guys want to talk about better than The Bachelor, as somebody mentioned earlier. This is it. This is the greatest known experiment. In fact, I say this experiment should be run every 5 to 10 years so that we can watch how this plays out, how we can see this philosophy implemented in the world so that those who are involved can have the education. Now, I can tell you, how I feel about it. I guess you already know. Um, I'm excited to watch the show as well. So, with that, I'm very excited that we get to watch this experiment in real time. Tally says we'll send an animal with a camera to stream it live. What do you think, buddy? He just said there is no way he's going in there. What about we give you some beer? He said if we give him a case of beer, he'll do it. And here's the other thing about the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. So we've been talking about media all week, and we've been talking about marketing all week. What has the marketing of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone said is going on right now? If you look into what the left-leaning media says, they said it's a festival atmosphere. They said it's communal and that everyone is enjoying themselves and they're watching movies and it's like a block party. Wonderful. What is the right-leaning channel said? They said they have run out of food and there is a warlord ruling over everybody and they're extorting money from residents and businesses. Okay, so we've seen optics for both. We've seen text and priming for both ideas. What do you think, guys? Do you think the truth is probably a little bit more somewhere in the middle? Of course it is. Of course it is. So I wanted to bring that up because Jennifer says we should set up tariffs. Trump should set up tariffs. That's great. This is going to play out wonderfully. It's going to be an educational experience for everybody. I think the experiment should play itself out. But know how both sides are trying to portray this situation. You and I all know it's somewhere in the middle. You know, this hashtag Chaz is the perfect example that we could use to show the marketing that went on for this thing this week. Why? What's the marketing? Nicole, are you leaving us, Nicole? Good to see you again. Have a great weekend. The marketing here is pulling us one side or the other side. Why? Because both need votes. We have votes that are coming up in November. So remember, guys, I want to end it right there. So let's watch the experiment. It's going to be great. I had a wonderful week this week, guys. I want to thank you guys for joining me, going over marketing and having some fun and looking at it with the political climate about what is going on. And I want you guys to really think about what we did this week and have a wonderful Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And if you enjoyed what Animal and I have talked about all week, check out the Art of Charm Communication Accelerator. It has all the best bits from our online classes and live training programs from connection, emotional bids, influence, persuasion, and networking from all of our 15 years of expert guests and programs at the Art of Charm. It is utterly amazing. It is get you in the door with rad concepts that we talk about on this show. So check it out and hit me up. If you enjoyed what we did this week, let me know. I enjoy talking to you guys. Jaron Allen, yes, you have a good weekend. Jennifer, I will talk to you later. Oh, AK-47 wearing. Daniel says, when you see videos of their AK-47 wearing thug proclaim sheriff beating up spray painters. Yeah, well, I don't know how that video was portrayed. If you look at it from both lenses, Daniel, you can see both stories. That's what I'm saying. But here's the best part, Daniel. We'll see it play out. Isn't that great? We'll get to hear this. We're going to get to see this. So that's what's awesome about it. Let's let it play out. All right. Okay, guys, I got to go. I have a marketing meeting that I have to get to. So wonderful, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.